Reddit by Reddit recap. Males of Reddit. When was the absolute worst time you had a random boner? Bent down to pet a woman's dog. She had nice legs. Suffice to say I couldn't stand up right away. She probably thought, why is this guy petting my dog for so long? I fell asleep on a couch and I woke up with my stepsisters sitting on both sides of me. I was full erect and wearing thin shorts. I was 16 and they were 15 and 14. I only knew cause I caught one looking. Holding a weeping woman, who I was coming to realize I was in love with, during a funeral wake. I moved her to my side, but I think she knew. A few years ago at my niece and nephew's birthday party, my brother-in-law's younger cousin came. She was a few years older than me, and when I was like 13, I had the biggest crush on her, and when we went to a cookout at her parents' house one Labor Day, I asked her out. She was flattered, but she was 18 already, so she gave me a hug and let me down nice. Fast forward to the birthday party. I hadn't seen her in a while, and when she came she hugged and exchanged pleasantries with me. She introduced me to her husband. I never had met him, and as I shook his hand, I was at full mast because I had just hugged her. Went to visit a girlfriend at her university. We went for a swim in the indoor pool as she was training for a half Ironman, and seeing her body when she got out of the water got me so hard for so long I had to feign a sudden need to do about 20 more lengths. Hopefully nobody underwater had goggles. Then in the showers afterwards I had a repeat just thinking about it. Luckily nobody was around. On a 6-hour-long bus ride, beside a pretty girl, I slept and woke up to a raging boner. The girl was looking at it, then turned her face to the window, and I don't know what was her thoughts, but I guess what a disgusting piece of crap. I often get boners if I sit for a long time. I was sitting with my wife watching TV, and Richard Simmons came on. She felt my boner and got mad because she thought Richard Simmons was turning me on. I distinctly remember this. I was 12 years old, doing a physical to get into middle school, and as she was checking for a hernia, it just popped up. I was so embarrassed, and she was just like, it's normal for your age. God, I hated going to the doctor for a few years after that. I still remember this story more than a decade later. I was in 7th grade social studies class and I sat next to this girl I had a crush on. I was wearing windbreakers, bad move, and it just came up out of nowhere. 30 seconds later the teacher called on me to write on the board. I had to lie and say I didn't do the homework, get a 0 on the assignment just to save myself from embarrassment. I'm sure he would have understood if I told him after class, but I was in 7th grade and just way too embarrassed. I have 2 roommates. I am consistently always in my undies. No big deal. I have a dog. I am also an early bird. Well, one night, I went to bed to a dark and quiet house, fell asleep, but woke up with a random boner because my dog had to pee. Walked out to the living room to let my dog out, and apparently, one of my roommates, middle-aged, single female, decided to have her 2 adult daughters, son-in-law, and friend over for a late-night visit. I didn't realize people were over until it was too late, so I just committed to letting Castor outside and pretending like I was too groggy to care. No one said a word. I was 15 and was at a week-long church retreat with my youth group. We were in some kind of hip with the kids youth meeting, and I popped a rounder that hung around for like 15 minutes while I was in athletic shorts. And during that time we did that peace be with you thing where we all get up and shake each other's hands. And so I just stuck my right hand in my pocket and hoped that everyone would shake with their left. 7th grade Spanish class. Had a rando. Teacher needed someone to come to the front of class for an example conversation. I didn't know what to do, so just went up there. Everyone was looking at my waistline, holding back snickers. Then it went down in about 5 seconds, which got a few audible laughs. It was horrible. On the ski lift, I was an idiot and said to my friends, damn, I just got a random boner, and I didn't know that there was a younger girl on the lift. Best friend, female, was the touchy-feeling type. Lots of random hugs. Always stood really close. Liked to cuddle when watching movies. She also had a boyfriend at basically all points in time. I wasn't really into her like that. We were just really good friends is all. Anyway, one evening we're hanging out watching TV and she stretches out with her head on my lap. No big deal because she does it all the time. As she's moving around getting comfortable, I start getting hard. I was wearing sweatpants so it's not like there's anything keeping the guy in check. She feels me tensing up trying to make it stop, and when she turns to look at me it goes full mast, pressing against the back of her head. She gets mad, leaves, eventually stops talking to me. Strapped to a gurney in a pool for a first aid demonstration surrounded by 30 people. The instructor said call a lumberjack, we got wood. I wish I had the presence of mind to make a joke about them standing around in a circle checking out a boy's penis. I dated my now wife when I accidentally had a boner for her. We were 15 on a band trip to Six Flags. I remember she was wearing a bikini under her clothes and I had shorts and was gonna take off my shirt when we get off the bus. She and I were so into each other but we did not want to make the first move. So we were dating but not really. Well, she took off her shirt and her shorts and this bikini. Man, I remember still after all these years. I had a hard on right there and it was visible. She asked me if I was gonna get up and walk with her and I told her to go ahead cause I felt sick. I was literally fighting the tug of war battle when she was trying to get me to stand up. When I did, she noticed. She said, "Oh, I see. Well, honestly, if I was a boy I would have a boner for you too." Wait, that's not what I meant. We just asked each other out then and there and enjoyed our time together still. I was in high school and we had swimming. I was in Speedos and walking along the edge of the pool when it decided to pitch a tent. Only this tent had no walls. In between me and my towel was a girl I liked who would have seen everything. There was no hiding it. 2 years later I was still too embarrassed to ask her on a date. 7th grade gym class. I was wearing jogging pants in PE health. We alternated. This was health day and we were studying human physiology and reproduction. At the time it took less than a breeze for full attention from below. Talking about female anatomy was way more than enough. My super cute, freshly out of college teacher asked me to stand up and write on the chalkboard. We had a great relationship so I pretended I didn't hear her while silently willing my problem to please for the love of God go down it would not. She called me again and we made eye contact. The rest of the classroom was looking my way and she saw on my face that this was not a good time. Thankfully she let me off and called on a female to do the job. Yoga class. I was near at the front of the class wearing gym shorts and for some reason my body decided to pitch the biggest tent it could. Like this was the most hard I've ever gotten. I wasn't sexually aroused or anything. My body just decided that this was the perfect time for an erection. Cue several strange looks as I walk past everyone trying to reach the exit on the opposite side of the room while failing miserably to cover up my boner. I stayed in the bathroom for like 10 minutes until it finally subsided. I was on a date with a girl. We were hanging out at a social beach city. I was wearing a t-shirt and swim trunks and she was wearing shorts and a really tight top. We were walking to the boardwalk side by side. I got in front and turned around to talk to her. I was completely floored by how good she looked in the morning sunlight. Before I knew it, I felt it coming so I sat down right then and there on the sidewalk. I told her I took a step wrong and hurt my knee. History of knee injuries. I guess it wasn't random as it was poorly timed. Learning tango in ballroom dancing class, and the girl I danced with kept telling me that I should get closer to her. Worst for me was I had to get a physical in Italy at an ENI approved doctor for some work. Of course the doctor was young and cute, and yeah, she noticed while examining me and told me she was flattered. However, my friend has a great story. He's an old school Chicago guy, you know, hanging out on his stoop fighting with the old school Latin kings, and learned to box at the YMCA. Also at the YMCA he took a swimming class, and back then it was all in the nude. Well, the instructor asked one of the older boys to demonstrate the backstroke, and he swims across the pool with a full-on erection. The instructor quipped, "Next time keep your periscope down." For whatever reason, I always get boners when I'm doing math. In calculus, I would always pop one when doing problems, and by the time the class ended, I always had a rager. I had to tuck that bad boy up through my waistband just to get out of class. During high school basketball game, the only time I ever thought, please, coach, don't put me in. Damn cheerleaders. Not as bad as some of the stories here, but I kinda wanted to die when it happened. I was walking to the subway with my crush after our last exam, and as we were walking it just randomly popped up. I wasn't even thinking about doing anything sexual with her. I was just happy to be with her in that moment. Just glad that she didn't notice, or she's too polite to have said anything, which she definitely is. I definitely would have ducking jumped off a building if she noticed and got the wrong message. Edit. To clarify, I didn't just want to duck her, I was actually looking for a relationship with her. Whenever I saw my ex crying, I got horny. It felt incredible wrong every time. Not me, but the student presenter for the Veterans Day program at my high school a few years ago had a raging hard-on in front of not only the school but all of the veterans that showed up, while wearing basketball shorts. Best comment of the day. So I have this friend, I've known her my whole life and we always were together. When we were little we used to always lay all up under each other. Like, hey, we were kids, who cares? So this happened about 2 years ago. We were chilling at her house watching TV, not really doing anything. I was on the couch laying down, and she was in the recliner. She said she was getting sleepy and wanted to lay down. So I told her to go to her room, but she decides to come hop on the couch and cuddle up to me. I asked, what are you doing? And she says, going to sleep. So she gets comfy all the while I'm laying here with her laying all across me. Then all of a sudden I started to get a boner. So I'm trying my hardest to get up without her noticing I have a steel rod in my shorts.